Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is Ship Updates. Now, any of you who've been following this channel for a long time know that there's one ship in particular that I've been looking forward to for the longest time. How long? Well, I'll show you. Roughly since about September 26, 2014. So, almost 3 years, closing in on. The Reclaimer is a big ship for me. It's one of the ships that not only do I like on the basis of its appearance, which is usually not a determining factor for me, but I mean, this ship, it really kind of looked like something that was out of the Aliens universe, you know, the Ridley Scott Aliens universe, or James Cameron, and you know, it was something that the exterior design spoke to me, and it's definitely why I can understand why some people, you know, they fall in love with the look of a ship. But beyond that, it was a ship that made sense to me in a lot of ways, you know, something that goes out there and salvages wrecks, but, you know, not only, you know, just random things that are thrown around for missions or spawn in certain area for missions, but also ships that you may destroy or ships that you may capture, then you can then, you know, take them apart with the Reclaimer, salvage any valuable parts, and then possibly even recycle all the metal in the ship. So it's a ship that I've liked a lot. Now recently we found out that the Reclaimer was now in production, and the description that we got from CIG was that, well, they were doing a little bit of interior prospecting work, or interior prospecting interior concept work. They were kind of reviewing the interiors and kind of getting things all sorted out. So I had kind of said when we found that out, I said, you know, next time Foundry 42 comes up in the rotation on ATV, who knows, maybe we'll see a little bit of the Reclaimer. And during yesterday's ATV rather, as they were kind of going through, they talked a lot about level design, but they gave this very brief little snippet of the Reclaimer right in the beginning. And let me tell you, when I saw that, and I was watching that episode, I kind of thought, well, you know what? I definitely know what I'm going to talk about on Ship Updates tomorrow. It's going to be, that's all you showed us? Just that one little clip? What the hell? But then, you know, the credits roll and then they stop, and then Aaron Roberts comes to the rescue, and then we saw this. Now, here we are with the landing gear deployed. We've never seen that look before. It looks amazing. This doesn't look to me like a ship that's in, you know, kind of getting some interior concept work done. This looks to me almost like a finished asset. I'm not complaining, but you know, this ship looks almost done to me, and I have to ask the question. You know, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, you know, how far away is this ship? Because it looks like it's. I mean, we're still doing some concept work on the interiors. Really, kind of looks like the interiors are finished. I mean, this looks amazing. So there's a part of me that's really ecstatic to be seeing this, you know, because this is my ship. This is the ship that I've been most excited about for the longest time, and I've been having to kind of, you know, hold back on just because I was just so excited to see it, but I didn't want to just sit there and drive myself nuts over this ship. And obviously I'm gonna have to make a video about it at some point in the future and just kind of go through what I really like about the ship in more detail. But you know, as much as I love seeing this, and I really do, there's still that part of me that's asking the question, how come this is the first time we're seeing all of this, you know? And I don't know, it just seems to me that sometimes, you know, a lot of this, you know, kind of discord in the backer community when it comes to things getting done and whatnot, seems like it almost could be avoided if people were just a little bit more liberal with sharing, you know, works in progress and things like that. My opinion. Anyways, we also saw some other things. Now here, of course, is the hull scene. Now this is kind of, when I saw this clip, I thought, okay, so that's the Reclaimer maybe? They're just starting with the interior. This is what I thought the Reclaimer was going to be. And then, of course, it evolved out into this. And the hull C coming along very nicely and moving very, very quickly. And, you know, that was just incredible. Now, of course, the Javelin is more of a known thing because we've known that the Javelin's been pretty close to done for a while. We saw the wrecked version of the Javelin, of course, at CitizenCon in October. And you know, we've gotten brief little, you know, blinks at the ship, but this is just looking amazing. Now, of course, the Javelin is not a ship that I feel suits my goals and objectives in the PU, but for those of you out there who own this ship or whose ambition is to get this ship, even though this is not the ship for me, I totally get it. I get it. And it kind of, like this and a lot of the larger ships that we're now starting to see come into the Star Citizen universe, it's really making me kind of look at, you know, fighters and thinking, maybe that's not even something I even want to bother with. I mean, the big ships just look like where it's at, you know? It's just, these things look absolutely amazing. So, of course, we got that, and we also got now this is the Misc Razor. This is the Misc Racer, the Razor. Now, this made, of course, a very brief appearance, as you're going to see, but obviously gray boxing moving along well. That ship hopefully will be ready soon. So one of the things that stands out for me when I see all of this is now I'm kind of thinking, okay, so it looks like some of these things are close enough that depending on 3.0's release date, maybe some of these things can be included. Now, I think the Reclaimer might be a bit of a stretch because I don't think that salvage is going to be a part of 3.0. Now, the ship might make it in there basically functional, possibly, but even though I am, of course, highly, you know, I'm very excited to see the Reclaimer finally coming out, but at the same time, you know, I have to acknowledge that unless salvage is in the game, beyond just kind of having this thing to float around in, there's not really much, not much purpose to it there. Much like this ship here, the Herald, you know, when we originally heard about 2.6, back at Gamescom, they were talking about hacking booths and things like that. So it felt like when the Herald came out, you're going to have some hacking to do. And then that just, you know, you know, that door just closed and it was never discussed again. Hopefully sometime in the future. I mean, the hacking booths seem to have appeared in Grim Hex and they're there. If you go towards the clothing store, if you're heading towards the clothing store in Grim Hex where you hang a right to go into the clothing store, if you hang a left instead, there's these 3 little booths there that weren't there before. I kind of took those to be the hacking booths, but I don't know. Either way, I'm very excited to see the Reclaimer. Are we going to see the Reclaimer in 3.0? Probably not. As enthusiastic as I am about this ship, and you know, those of you who really know, like who've been following my videos for a while, know that I am hugely enthusiastic about the Reclaimer. I'm going to take the safe position and say I don't think it's going to make it in for 3.0, and if it does, I don't know if the salvage is going to be there to support it. Otherwise, it's just going to be something to play around with, like, you know, like the Starfarer or the Caterpillar is now. But either way, it's really nice to see. Now, they have opened up the possibility of an interim patch between now and 3.0. Of course, we're getting 2.6.2 possibly next week, possibly the week after. I don't think there's been a final date announced yet. I still have to go back and check and see if there was a newsletter that came out between the time that I recorded this and uploaded it and all of that. So there's that to still check But yeah, you know, and I kind of like, I'm kind of stuck in this wrestling match right now where I'm kind of looking at these ships, because if you think about it, Caterpillar was supposed to be in 3.0. Caterpillar came early. What else got finished early? Oh man, I know there was a couple of big ones, and now it's you know, it's funny because you're thinking of all these ships, and they oh yeah, Dragonfly was supposed to be in 3.0, but we still don't have the yeah, technically we still don't have the Dragonfly, even though we've been seeing it, you know, functional since August. Still don't have it, which is bizarre. What else? What else showed up early? One sec, let me check my notes. Right, okay, the 85X. The 85X was not scheduled until 3.2, I believe. 3.2 was when it was originally scheduled, and it's already in the game and flyable. So, I mean, those are kind of, I think, you know, not exactly, say, trend-setting incidents, but it does kind of show you that things seem to be accelerating. And I mean, even the Caterpillar had hit that hiccup where they had to redesign the cockpit on the ship while they were bringing it out, and yet it still made it out ahead of schedule. So, and with the Reclaimer, I mean, yeah, I thought the Reclaimer was going to be in a lot rougher shape when we finally did see it. And I mean, shit, it looks almost done. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit crazy. So clearly, there's a lot to get excited about. But, you know, once again, whether or not the Reclaimer makes it into 3.0, or if anything else makes it into 3.0, one of the biggest parts of that is, you know, it's not the ship side of things, but it's the item system 2.0 and its subsumption for AI, so that once those two things are out of the way, those are, of course, two prerequisites to getting Squadron 42 finished. Once Squadron 42 is finished, then all of that work can then be shifted to Star Citizen. And I think at this point, it's probably safe to say that most of the modeling team in the UK is probably off of Squadron 42, and at least the ship side of things, and working on ships for Star Citizen. I mean, it looks like things are certainly picking up over there. But, you know, once Squadron 42 is out of the way, hopefully that will just add even more steam to getting things done, and, you know, move Star Citizen along at a much faster pace. Now, of course, if there is an interim patch between now and 3.0, and CIG is trying to think of something to throw into that patch just to tide people over, I mean, there's a lot of ships out there that you could consider. Dragonfly, that would be really good, and that might enrich gameplay, or just might be fun to play with Dragonfly. So you really got to think. You got to look at the width and breadth of what you can get done between now and then pick an asset that you can deliver within that time, Dragonfly. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and thanks for watching. Dragonfly.
Quantum travel initiated.
Dragonfly.